Creepy Christmas Chronicles. The Whispers in the Wreath. It started with a wreath. An ordinary wreath made of evergreen branches, dusted with faux snow and tiny red berries. Jennifer had bought it at a quaint Christmas market downtown, enchanted by its rustic charm. It was the perfect addition to her minimalist apartment. A pop of festive cheer amidst her otherwise neutral decor. She hung it on the inside of her front door, just to admire it more often. That night, as she wrapped presents under the glow of her twinkling Christmas tree, Jennifer noticed something peculiar. The faintest whisper tickled her ears. At first, she dismissed it as wind howling through the window cracks. But then the whispers grew louder. Home. Sweet home. Beautiful home. Her head snapped toward the front door, where the wreath hung. She froze, listening. The whispers stopped. Shaking off the eerie feeling, Jennifer chuckled nervously. Too much coffee, she muttered, turning back to her wrapping. By the following morning, the wreath had changed. Jennifer couldn't put her finger on it at first. Maybe the branches looked fuller, or the berries shinier. She stared at it uneasily, but dismissed her concern and headed to work. When she returned, the wreath's transformation was undeniable. The once modest decoration now looked lush and vibrant, almost alive. Its green needles gleamed as if polished, and the berries glistened like drops of fresh blood. Jennifer touched it cautiously. The branches were warm, almost pulsing under her fingers. She yanked her hand back in horror. That night, the whispers returned, clearer and louder than before. You're perfect. Just perfect for us. Jennifer bolted upright in bed, her heart hammering. The sound was coming from the front door. Slowly, she crept toward it, her feet sinking into the plush carpet. The whispers grew louder as she neared. She pressed her ear to the door, trembling. "Who's there?" she whispered, her voice cracking. The wreath responded with a voice that was many voices, layered, fragmented, and sinister. "Let us in," Jennifer screamed and ripped the wreath from the door, hurling it across the room. It landed on the floor with a wet thud. The whispers stopped, but when she turned on the light, the wreath wasn't where she had thrown it. Instead, it was back on the door, hanging perfectly centered. Terrified, Jennifer called her best friend Emily, who reluctantly agreed to come over. "It's probably just stress," Emily said upon arriving. "Or maybe you're sleepwalking." Jennifer shook her head, clutching a mug of chamomile tea. "I swear it moved on its own. And the whispers..." "You didn't hear them?" Emily sighed and walked to the door. "Let me take a look." She leaned in, squinting at the wreath. "See? It's just a wreath," Emily said, tugging on it. But as she pulled, her face twisted in confusion. "It's stuck." Suddenly, Emily screamed. Her hand was trapped in the wreath, vines twisting around her wrist like living snakes. Jennifer grabbed her arm, trying to pull her free. But the wreath yanked Emily forward, slamming her face into the door. "Stop!" Jennifer screamed, grabbing a pair of scissors. She hacked at the wreath, but the branches grew back faster than she could cut them. Emily's body went limp, and the wreath released her. Jennifer caught her friend before she hit the ground. Emily was breathing but unconscious, a deep red welt circling her wrist where the wreath had held her. The whispers returned, louder than ever. "Feed us. Love us. Or we'll take more." Jennifer grabbed a pair of oven mitts and pulled the wreath off the door, ignoring the searing heat radiating from it. She stuffed it into a garbage bag and raced to the backyard. Her hands trembled as she lit a match and dropped it into the bag. Flames roared to life, consuming the wreath in seconds. Jennifer felt a wave of relief as the whispers faded into silence. But as she turned to go back inside, she stopped cold. There on her front door was the wreath, perfect, pristine, and waiting. The door creaked open on its own, and a rush of icy air pushed her back. "You can't burn us, Jennifer." The voices hissed. "We're part of you now." Jennifer turned to run, but the ground beneath her feet seemed to tilt, pulling her back toward the door. She fell, screaming, as the wreath's branches reached out, wrapping around her like hungry arms. The last thing she saw before darkness consumed her was Emily standing in the doorway, eyes vacant and mouth moving in sync with the wreath's whispers.